Homesteader family, welcome back to the journey and welcome to this edition of the Sunday Monday vlog. Mr. Lovebug right there, the little bull that flipped me over his horns a couple months ago. I decided to let him come out here outside of the pen like I let the goats, and he almost became ground beef and burger patties because he didn't want to listen, and he went right through the brush pile and tried to run off. So it took me about 20 minutes or so of chasing him around and trying to get in front of him, get back behind him, get to the side of him to finally get him back in the pen. Luckily, all the animals were up top, so nobody was down at the gate, so I was able to leave the gate open and chase him back into the pen. So he's a little stubborn bull, and he's best friends with Stubbs right there, the Zorse, and that's, I guess, rubs off from Stubbs onto him. And then you got some of the donkeys there, and Mama Zara, the brown cow right there, and Caesar's way out there, and the rest of the animals are out there. But you can see I got this all the way down the fence line. I've got a lot of this cleaned up. Now it's just down here in the ditch that I need to clean up. And then this is the progress I've been doing out here. So this is Gregory Lane that goes right outside of here. That's Gregory, goes all the way up to Moscow Love. And then Purdom Lane is this road right here that goes up. It comes to like a T. So I'm going down Gregory because this is my property line, because I own to the center of Gregory, but my neighbor's got a 30-foot easement if they want to bring trailers or a cabin or whatever through. So instead of having fence out there and have to take it down if they got to bring something through, I'm just doing everything here. And then I'm going to stop the fence here, and then I'm going to set probably a post right here next to the T-post, and then do another one to make an H-brace here. And then I'm gonna run fencing. I'm gonna do the 4-foot fence like this. And since now I know the zebus can go right out through this brush pile. Now, of course, it's not packed down or nothing. So wintertime, this will all pack down as we get snow. They're calling for a heavy snow with all the spoons out of those one seeds. Now I can't think of the persimmon seeds. So the Buffalo River actually showed the rangers went out and picked a bunch of persimmon seeds. For those of you that don't know about that, which I never knew about it because I'm not from this area, North Carolina, the Appalachian Mountain area, they all go by the persimmon seeds down here. But it's showing a spoon, which means heavy snow accumulation and cold, dark winter, basically, just like the government's saying. So with all that snow, it will pack this down. And then of course I'm going to be going through the rest of the woods because I want to clear everything out just to keep big trees throughout. And I'm getting ready for the forestry mulchers. So I'm cutting everything off. Now, yes, forestry mulchers can come in, they can take all this straight out. They don't need it cut down like this, but I'm cutting it down like this so that way when they chip all the stumps up, then I get mulch on the ground, which will help put nutrients in the ground, keep moisture in the ground, and as it breaks down, gives off the fertilizer. And in doing that, I'm taking all the trees, I'm stacking them along the property line, so that's giving me a couple different things. One, that's going to give me a windbreak from wind just blowing right in like it does through the fence to the animals. When the sun's on that side, the animals can be laying here next to the pile once I have the fence in, and that provides shade. And then that's going to basically be a humongous hooger culture bed for those of you that don't know about hooger culture. And that's going to break down over the years, and it's going to make the ground underneath that very fertile. It's going to bring in a lot of worms, all the leaves from all the trees and everything. As they fall, they're going to get trapped when they blow around and get in there. And then there's also a bunch of blackberry bushes and briars, and I've been all stuck up. You can see right here, these are not fun to get caught on, and they're everywhere. So that will briar out, and vines and everything will wrap up in there, and little by little over the years stuff will grow up through. And of course these trunks and stuff, there's trunks I left throughout there, so that's gonna stop animals from coming through. It's going to provide shelter for smaller animals and different species. And then, like I said, a windbreak and a security break, because like I said, once all the briars wrap around all this, nobody's going to climb through it. And on the other side, between here and Gregory Lane, there's briars and thorns and all that out here. Like you can see, this area doesn't have that many thorns, but it will grow back up. And then I left all these stumps all throughout out here. I'm going to have the forestry mulcher guy go from the edge of the road over about 2 swipes. So if my neighbor's coming down road or I'm coming down the road and one of us has to come off the road, we're not damaging our car hitting in these stumps. But rest of the stumps from 2 swipes from the road over, I'm going to leave. So nobody can just drive their vehicle up here, try to get into the property, take animals, anything like that. So not only am I doing something to make habitats for animals and different species, but I'm also setting up a more protective homestead with everything going the way it's going. So kind of like a little doomsday thing, but you know, it is what it is. So eventually, like I said, all this will be cleared by the forestry mulcher, all that going all the way back down to Purdom Lane, going all the way back up and throughout, and eventually get a whole bunch of grass and things seeded, and that will take over the thorns. And then I'll have pastures throughout this area with different big trees, like this gigantic tree here that will provide shade, and nuts, because I have a lot of oak, and I get acorns, walnuts out here, pecans, all different types of nuts and berries on the trees out here. So I'll have that dropping in the fall, which, like the pigs, they're eating up all the acorns. They're enjoying that. The other animals, the goats, really like the acorns as well. The camels. So the trees are providing, and eventually I'll have pastures throughout all this, and then way up all the way through will be where I'm going to build a house. So I'll come out here. I'm almost down here to the end where I can get back out, because I haven't made it all the way. But what I'm thinking about doing now is I'm thinking about going ahead and getting fence in this area and not worry about doing the whole property line right now. I'm just going to do along Purdom Lane, and I'm going to do over here to where I'm going to connect Purdom Lane out to Gregory Lane once again. So, hey Andreas, how you doing? So where Purdom Lane dead ends right now into the property, which it really doesn't dead end, because there were so many people using Purdom Lane and this property to go 4-wheeling and horseback riding, and who knows whatever else they were doing going through, going down to the swimming holes and swimming on other properties. So Purdom Lane does go through into my neighbors, James and Katrina's property, and then goes out to railroad tracks and that stuff. So my truck's way back there. Like I said, this is Gregory Lane. This is what it looks like outside. So you can see that brush pile, all the leaves and stuff will die off, and it just look like piles of sticks. I'll show you that down here where I cut all this last year, where this stuff is what I'm cutting now and getting things done. So right here is the end of the pile, and then right here is the start of what I've done already earlier this past month after I closed the snowball stand. So I'm working my way, and I have maybe 150 feet in between the two, and then I'm back into it. And then throughout here I still got to come in, cut some small trees down, but this is what it looks like. It's just a bunch of branches. Because it takes all the nitrogen out of the soil, like mulch. A lot of stuff doesn't grow in mulch for several years because it sucks all the nitrogen, I believe it's nitrogen, out of the soil, so plants can't grow as it composts. But once it composts, then it starts releasing, and that's like horticulture beds. It takes about 2 years for that to occur. And then horticulture beds are really good. The first 2 years is a little bit hard because the logs have to get wet. they have to start breaking down and then adding fertilizer and stuff back in. So this was my neighbor's gate that they put in a long time ago. Of course, my property goes all the way down this way a bit. I have that here, and then this is going to be the massive driveway. I'm also, because of the way the economy is going and things are happening, as soon as I can get the forestry mulching done, I'm going to be clearing out some more of these trees, and I'm going to bring the grain silo or grain bin back here instead of up by the main road, so that way I know back here nobody's going to be back here messing with it. Nobody's messed with it, but with grain prices, they're still going up like crazy. Then I'll go ahead, I'll have the grain back here. I don't have to worry about somebody cutting a lock or taking grain or anything like that. But luckily, most of the people in Arkansas, I mean, there are some thieves everywhere, but here in Arkansas, everybody pretty much leaves everything alone. I mean, look, this fencing tire, been sitting here for a couple years now since I've started all this, and nothing's been touched. So of course I do have all this 4-foot fencing, so I have plenty of fencing to fence this area. So what I want to do is go from the pen that you saw where the animals are. I want to come all the way down to this corner on the inside of the brush pile. I want to fence all the way down along Gregory Lane on the inside of the brush pile, and then I'm going to go down a bit into the property and then cut back over to Purdom Lane, and I set it up as a secondary pen because I'm not going to have the money to buy seed, because seed is going through the roof right now. I just saw a couple different reports. China's purchased 40% of all the grain being produced right now in the world for the last 2 months, and my feed costs keeps going up and seed costs is skyrocketing. So I'm not going to be seeding the property this year. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to, instead of doing the perimeter all the way around the property, I'm just going to set up a huge pen here, get it fenced so I know the animals can't get out, the emus, the camels, and then of course love bugs, since he pushed through, and get them in this area. And this will be, I want to say, probably 10 times the size of the pen they're in now. And then I can also get them on this side of Purdom Lane, since right now I have up to 30 acres I'm selling over between Purdom Lane and Moscow Love. So then that way the animals aren't over there. I can take that fencing down, move that fencing over, and then start the whole process again. And then next year, the animals will have this whole area. They can help me eat everything down like they did in the first pen, so it's not so briar infested and sticker infested, and I can go ahead and clear it a lot easier. In the meantime, they still have access to the first pen, so because I have the ponds there for water and for feed. And then I'm not sure what's going to happen next year, but I know this is my goal right now before I open the snowball stand in March, is I want to at least get this next section fenced and done so I can get the animals into a fresh area that they can munch on everything, because you can see just how dense it is here. It is a lot of work, and that's like watching everybody in Colorado right now talk about how cold it is and seeing the pictures, all the leaves changing. The leaves are just slowly starting to change here. They're just starting to change color. But this is what I'm talking about. Grass is still green, leaves are still green. The animals are able to eat here, where in Colorado, everything's falling off the trees. Grass is browning up, and it was a smaller time window for the animals to eat. And that's like Alaska. I had looked at going to Alaska and seeing everybody talking about Alaska's getting ready to cool down and cooling down, and glad I didn't go to a colder climate. And that's pretty much it. So I hope everybody has a great week. I hope everybody starts doing something, getting tasks done, getting chores done. This winter is going to be hard for a lot of people. I'll tell you that. I actually hauled all the firewood over to the restaurant yesterday. I got a rack all set up with that ladder rack that I made for the firewood. That's filled to the top. I got the tarp over it because, let's see, I don't know if you can see that sky. It looks like we're gonna get a rainstorm tonight. Blue skies over here, gray skies over there. So I'm looking forward to the rain. That will top the ponds back off, kill some of this dust. We've dried out a bunch in the past week and a half, and there's a lot of dust. When you drive down the road, you leave a big dust cloud just like Colorado, which gets my sinuses all messed up because the dust messed with me for whatever reason. Now, it's not like Colorado, that the ragweed, where I was just snotty all the time. You know, I couldn't breathe. At least out here, you know, I just have the dust for right now. And then springtime, when people burn all their fields and stuff like that, that's smoke, which, you know, smoke messes with a lot of people. But yeah, there's a little cricket over there. But get out there, get something done. Winter's coming. If you don't have a secondary source of heat, you better figure that out now. If you can get a wood stove, I would do that. If you can find some land that is wooded for cheap, I would do that. Get you some free wood off of the property and get things set up. So if you don't have toilet paper stocked up, you better do that too, because you never know, you might be out without it again. And same thing with food. You might want to grab a couple extra cases of canned goods just to have something just in case. I mean, world governments are talking about some bad stuff going on. So just be prepared and think about life, and make sure you're covered and you don't fall for the line of everything's always going to be okay, because you never know when it's not. So with that, enjoy your week, take care, and remember, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. Take care.